Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 371 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on November 14th, 2022.
We need your help. To support Canadian Patriot Podcast, visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. Show you're not a communist and buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, our homepage, and follow the link on the right.
This brings us to my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? And How Have We Become a Better Person? As is tradition, we will start with Liz. Liz, what are you drinking?
I am drinking bourbon and tea.
Solid.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, and it's in like bone china. That's very fancy.
Oh, yeah. I'm that person that has like china that I use when I bring people over.
Well, doesn't mean you don't have to be fancy, right? Just because you're drinking.
Yeah, I got a little bit of white trash and whiskey in my teacup. It's all good. Yep.
You're one dog running away from a country song.
I don't even know if I'm one dog running away. I just about lost it on my dogs the other day. So anyways. Okay, one thing that I've done. Oh, I was working on some of my food storage stuff yesterday or today. So I got some food grade bins to put some of my food storage in. I also last week, I know it's not today, but like last week, I started the Ruck challenge, the CPP Ruck challenge. That was, nice. That was a party. I have a weighted vest. Unfortunately, it only goes up to 50 pounds. So I'm going to have to adjust at some point, but.
All right. I'm going to talk to other Andrew about that because, it's a Ruck challenge, not a weighted vest challenge. So I'm going to have to review with him what sort of credit you're being assigned.
Yeah, well, I only have like a massive.
I'm kidding. I'm sure it's fine.
I was gonna say I only have like a serious hiking backpack that is half the size of my body. So
that sounds perfect.
Put the vest inside of it. Yeah, you'll be good.
It's awful. But yeah, if Andrew wants to dock me points, that's fine.
I don't know. He seems to be he's very much enjoying all of the formulas in Excel and
I was gonna say he's pretty excited about it. I think
he's more excited about the nerding out on the math than he is about the actual challenge itself.
Yeah.
Nah, he was pretty excited that I posted my time, and he's like, now I have a target to beat, and it's like, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you, bud.
Everything's a contest.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm glad you're doing the Ruck challenge. I see we've got a bunch of people that have posted week one scores. So it looks like we're up to 17 participants. We'll see how many of them make it to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. It is good. I'm fingers crossed I'll make it.
I believe in you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You and your weighted vest will make it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Well, again,
because I'll hassle you if you don't.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Fair. You've now talked about it on the internet, so
I don't care about that. I have no shame. Like,
I mean, clearly, look at that sweater.
I know, but here's the thing.
So cozy, though.
You're judging me, but if you ever wore a sweater like this, you would get it.
The internet would be judging me if I wore a sweater like that.
Yeah, but you'd be the type of person that secretly has a sweater like this.
There's no secret about it.
Fair. I think if you had a sweater like this, you would. I don't know what it's made of, but whatever this fake material is, it's worth it. I guess I'm moving on to the next person. Benny, what are you drinking? What are you doing to make your life better?
I'm drinking some rum and SodaStream lime. What am I doing? I'm improving the house a little, trying to up the value of the homestead. So, new kitchen. So I don't have a kitchen for the next month or so.
Oh, that's the worst.
It is. It is the worst.
When you say month or so, Like that's into
Yeah.
Hanukkah.
Well, the previous homeowner did a lot of work himself, and some of it may or may not have been dubious. So I just put a lot of kinks in the plan. So yeah,
Fair.
yeah. Gavin, what are you drinking?
Still on the water train, but 4 weeks in a row of 4 liters a day. So I'm crushing it. My hydration.
That's awesome.
I also did the ruck challenge, and I'm not gonna lie. After completing 100 kilometers in 4 days, I did not feel like walking for a little while. So this is kind of the first thing, and after having the whole blood clot thing and like barely being able to go across the room without getting out of breath, this 45 minutes kind of kicked my butt. But I did it and I didn't die, so that's good.
How much were you walking before that? Because you were like pretty active into that.
A lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing 100K in 4 days kind of, I guess, earned me a few days off, which extended a little longer than planned, and then health stuff and whatnot. But I did it.
Good job. Well done. Well
Proud
done.
of you, Gavin.
Thank you. Andrew, what are you drinking this evening?
I am drinking Coors Original.
You found some?
No, original, not banquet.
Oh,
it's easy to find
right,
original. You go into the
yeah.
beer store and you ask for it. And they're like,
Yeah.
how big of a case would you like? And I'm like, well, it's a full-size pickup truck, so yes.
All of them, yeah.
So
Right.
you can't get banquet?
No.
Banquet is no longer manufactured. They
I
have
thought it
switched
was
to
like a
Coors
hot-
Original.
I thought it was like a hot ticket for a while there.
I thought it was, and I know that they say original is the same, but I'm telling you,
It's not.
it's different.
They use a different city's tap water or something. It's not as good.
I am not sure what the difference is. But it's something is slightly different, and I don't like it. And also, I miss stubby cans. Or stubby bottles. I guess they're not really cans. I miss stubby bottles. Stubby bottles just fit in the fridge better.
They're also just fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's the original Canadian.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nostalgic for the 1930s sometimes,
We used to find them all the time on salvage tractors that would come into the yard that had been in some like farmer's field for a couple of decades. We'd always scrummage through and find like rotten or old tools and a bunch of those empty bottles.
Very Canadian.
Oh yeah, I washed them up. I have them like on my mantle, actually. A couple of them.
Right on.
Oh, okay.
In terms of improvement stuff, I am also doing the Rock Challenge, and I am on 29 consecutive days of 10,000 steps today. Got my steps in pre-podcasting. I'm getting back on the trying to get back on the step train, and I had a lovely hike for this week's Rock Challenge. I'm going to try and get all the way from St. Thomas to Port. Now I forgot the name of it. Port Stanley, on the converted rail trail.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I found a new rail trail to do, so I'm going to try and. Well, it's like I think it's like 12 kilometers or something.
Oh, okay.
That's not too bad.
That's not.
So it's not too bad, but it's like, it's almost as flat as Manitoba.
Oh,
shots fired! Shots fired! Yeah.
I mean, it's good for me because I can go real fast because there's no hills.
Yeah. Yeah, I did my rock through St. Mary's. So
St. Mary's has a lovely trail. You can do the Avon Trail going north, or you can do the Thames Valley, Thames River, Thames something trail going south.
Yeah, so they have like two different trails that connect in St. Mary's. I didn't really do either. I hit Main Street, so you're going down like big hills, and then I went right and went up another big hill and down one.
You got to take a map reading course and do some like route planning, important route selection, not so as to not tire yourself out while you're going up and down all the hills with your backpack or weighted vest in your case.
So
and then that way it ends right at the pub, so you can have a cold one when you're done.
So I don't know if you've been to St. Mary's lately, but there's no open pubs So
This is bullshit.
yeah,
Well,
I was like,
this place sounds terrible. Why would you go
Yeah.
there?
because otherwise I'm walking around a country field, which isn't
I did that.
awful, but
I did that for 2 years.
Think about
I
all
got
the
a
stubby
lot of
bottles you could
kilometers
find.
in there.
Yeah.
do you know what it is more? Like I like to put in earphones and like listen to podcast music or whatever. And there's a lot of coyotes that I would run across that I just don't want to be surprised by.
That's
So-
fair.
That's
Yeah.
just turn it into critter hunting, and then
Oh yeah,
keep
for
the-
sure.
keep the
Like,
coyote population down in your area, and get target practice and rucking in all at the same time.
I mean, it sounds like a great idea, but realistically.
On to the
Sounds good.
news.
On to the news.
On to the news.
Or did you
The
want
Bank
to
of Canada. Huh? Sorry.
Did you want
What?
to do the listener feedback?
There's no listener feedback. Send me your email
Cool.
or join the Gilded server, wherein I can ignore you in real time instead of an email.
Perfect.
Andrew,
Perfect.
other Andrew moderates the Gilded thing. I occasionally go on and post laugh reacts to funny things.
It's
This is
just
my level of
another,
investment into the.
yeah, it's another social media to follow. Like I'm getting sick of the first ones, so
I'm doing locals now, but I don't post. I just follow YouTube creator, or what were YouTube creators now Rumble creators. So
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
be bothered to do any of that.
Yeah. No.
I'm not really.
If you want to
sure
send me your
what-
hate mail, feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Let me know how you like your contempt.
Yeah. Hot or cold.
Doesn't matter. Same rules as Henry Ford. You get it in
Whoa.
black. I don't care. Doesn't really
Very cool.
translate when it's not cars.
No.
Was
But
that-
or
Insane.
colors.
No, that was the original Ford, right? You could have it
Yeah.
any color you wanted.
Any
as
color
you
as
picked
long as it
black.
was black. Right.
That's right. Same as your contempt.
There you go.
Or
Okay.
it doesn't really translate. Anyway,
Yeah, I was like moving on.
yeah,
the
Bank of Canada.
news. The Bank of Canada is warning Canadians to brace for a rough winter.
You don't say.
Also, the sky is blue and water is wet.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say though, like when the bank is actually telling you to brace for it, you know it's gonna be like really bad. Because normally they're just like, everything will be fine. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
we're just
it.
it's just 50 bias points, which sounds way better than 0.5%, which
Yeah.
sounds way better than everybody's mortgage went up a couple $100.
Well, it's yeah, they're trying really hard to get ahead of inflation, but it's like you guys kind of created this problem.
Yeah.
So
I like this particular dichotomy though. In the very beginning of the article, for years now, central banks around the world have helped consumers and businesses weather economic storms. In crisis after crisis, they cut interest rates to help people get through. They printed money and bought bonds to prop up markets.
Yeah, I don't think the printing of money helped anybody.
What? We helped people by increasing the money supply and keeping the interest rate artificially low. So now to fix it, we're going to increase the
Yeah.
interest rate and continue printing money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like
undo. Yeah.
they're now paying the piper. They've been
Well, yeah.
riding
but
it for
they're
so
not.
long. Now they have
They're
to
not.
pay it back.
The ultimate problem with this is the interest rate only affects people like me that have a mortgage that needs to be paid. It doesn't affect the government that's borrowing infinity money and just printing more.
Yeah.
There's nothing to stop the government from continuing to spend money that my great grandchildren don't have,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
what we really
ultimately the
need,
problem with
though,
this. The
is
reason that we have runaway inflation is because the government is spending money that doesn't exist. And the central bank is just being like, well, we'll just increase the monetary supply through quantitative easing. Pardon me, that's very 2008. We don't call it that anymore. By increasing the money supply.
Yeah, what we really need to do is hope that they just start printing money at an even faster rate so that it outpaces the, interest rates. And then we could just
No,
pay
what
off.
what we need to
a
do is
house with a
cancel our
loaf of
Disney
bread.
Plus subscriptions. If we
Yes,
just
that will
cancel
save us
Disney
all.
Plus,
Yeah.
then we can all
Yeah.
save money. That's what Chrystia Freeland said, and she's the Minister of Finance. So clearly she
yeah.
knows a thing or two about something.
You know, those people that are like really dumb, and you're like, oh,
Yes, I've met politicians.
no, okay. So let me paint a picture without being that person. You know, those girls that you're kind of like, oh, it's okay, honey. Just like sit there and look pretty. You're kind of dumb. But then they just know enough that they're scary as all get out. And you're like, this bitch is crazy.
Are we
That's what
comparing Christina Freeland to good-looking girls?
Well, no, but like how people treat them. I mean, I'm sure she's good looking to somebody. I don't really think about it too much. Like, she's like a middle-aged politician. They're all stressed out looking. I'm sure that they were good looking at one point in their life. I don't know.
You know what would help her if she just started eating bugs?
Not enough beer goggles in the
Doesn't
world.
go
Living in the pod does help with your complexion.
doesn't go to Tim Hortons and eat their chicken soup enough.
I like that the Bank of Canada's solution to this is to raise interest rates on consumers. So this will definitely help the
Yeah.
economy.
We
Also,
did
definitely
something
don't worry about
wrong.
the economic slowing, and the fact that unemployment's going up. Also, don't worry about that. Oh, and by the way, the interest rate that's gone from 0.25% to 3.75% this calendar year, it's not done yet.
Okay, so can we just like switch gears for a hot second and talk about why unemployment is going up?
No, I'm done talking about Christina Freeland. Oh, sorry, unemployment. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't understand why unemployment is going up, because unemployment is dictated by people not having jobs, correct? Or is it dictated by open job vacancies?
The unemployment rate is calculated based on the number of people that are actively seeking work. And they've changed that number recently so that if you're out of the workforce for, I think the term is 6 months now, but I could be wrong on that. If you are unable to find employment within 6 months, you are no longer counted amongst the unemployed.
Then what are you counted as?
Yes.
Probably a liberal voter, if I had to guess, possibly NDP.
Yeah. Same though.
I guess my question really is, like, everybody I know is hiring.
Yes.
So why is the unemployment rate?
Well, and now talk to those people and ask how many people have applied. Have those people actually show up to the interview?
I know
if
that
they
it's
did
like
show up,
severely reduced.
How
compared
long?
to-
How
my
good were
experience as a hiring manager is it is greatly reduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people aren't applying. And it used to be when you were hiring people that you'd always get like so many resumes, because there's tons of people that just had to prove that they were looking for jobs to get their continued socialist benefits.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's still happening.
well,
mean-
but it's doesn't seem to be happening as much anymore. Like they just don't
It
care.
doesn't seem to be happening with the frequency which it
Mhm.
was.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've tried hiring lately, and it has been an absolute nightmare. Like
Yeah.
we had to go, like, we would get bombarded with resumes, but none of them would be good.
Yeah.
You either get people that are way too overqualified
Mhm.
because they're just out of work right now and want something,
Yep.
but like I don't hire them because I know they're not going to stick around. The minute that they've got something better, they're going to go to it. Or you get people that are not qualified at all, and again, not hiring them because I need someone that's competent. So we had to go to an agency, and the people that the agency sent us were also terrible. And these are people that like were supposed to have decades of experience, and like
Yeah.
we had to let them both go after a week or less than a week, because it was apparent that even though they had like 20 or 30 years experience at the job on paper, they could not even do the bare minimums of what we needed them to do. So it was like, wow.
So
So-
I honestly have used in the past employment agencies, recruiters, that sort of thing. I've had no success, little to no success with them, because it always looks for a check mark. Like they're always just hitting check marks. We have like a problem with people. Like
Yes.
it's the people that are trash. And that sounds
Yeah.
really harsh.
No, it's
But fair.
100%, it's 100%
Yeah.
accurate. Like,
Because there's even, and you can't, there's only so much blame you can put on the actual individual, because if you're being conditioned and you're really malleable, right? Like, I mean, 80, 70, 80, 85% of the population is extremely malleable to, you know, whatever's being directed at them in terms of news, propaganda, you know, like social constructs, all of that stuff. They're receiving it, they're following it, they're going down that path, and they're being told, you deserve more, you're worth more. Or, you know, it's really counterintuitive to an actual productive economy, because we've got this like aggressive pendulum swing from being like having asshole bosses that were just like abusive to their employees, to now needing
Asshole
people
employees
to,
that are
yeah,
abusive to their bosses.
absolutely. Or just like so negligent because they've been told, oh, hey, you need to care about me how I need to be cared about. You need to like support my feelings. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So the emotional intelligence that has been overdeveloped in a workplace, that is a good balance to have, because it does increase productivity, but it can't be the driving force. Capitalism and that accountability that goes along with capitalism has to still be the driving force. And unfortunately, it's insane how that's not a thing. It's like, I don't know how businesses are still surviving with some of the staff that are like, oh, well, you know, I feel this way, I got to do this, or I need to be treated this way, or I need to make this much money. And I'm like, that's not how this works, but whatever. Rant over.
Door.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tried that a few times, and sometimes they're like bad pennies.
Yeah, well, it seems definitely that the available pool of candidates right now are just terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
should we
Sorry. Go
Shall we
ahead.
talk about terrible candidates, possibly bad pennies?
Well,
Sure.
if you go through the
I think this
public
was
school system-
covered. This was covered in my absence. Oakville teacher.
Ugh.
So this is an update on the Oakville teacher situation. Oakville teacher allowed to continue wearing large prosthetic breasts. School board says this is in City News. So
Do they
I
not
think this
have
was,
a provision that says you cannot wear sexually explicit clothing? Or
So they're making
did
an
it
argument.
not.
This is not sexually explicit.
Yeah,
I'm
This is
sorry.
not-
I'm sorry. I may be a prude, but I can acknowledge that 99% of the population
You
thinks
don't like big
erect
titties, Benny?
fake nipples. No, I
don't
think
like
it's
big fake
inappropriate
titties?
for. I think it's inappropriate
this is the
for a school
problem.
setting.
It's not
Okay,
the
so, like-
clothing that's inappropriate. The
Let me
clothing
ask-
is
no, no,
usually conservative in that it goes
This
up
will be
to
like
here.
a fun game. This will be a fun game. Benny, do you have a problem with women getting breast implants?
In this case, yes, because if this
Oh, come on!
gentleman-
You can't cut me off before I get
this
to my
ge-
point.
if
That's
this
no fun.
gentleman had, instead of having them attached over his skin, had them attached under his skin, I would have the same problem.
So is the problem the comically large size or the fact that they exist?
No, I think it's the nipples.
I think
I
it's
mean,
the
that's-
choice of wearing them
Some
in
people
an
have big
educational
nipples.
environment.
Yeah, but people, real people that have
isn't a choice.
really big nipples use padded bras to hide it.
Is there a rule that says you have to wear a padded bra if you have really big nipples?
I think that working in your public school system. I grew up in a school where they had a dress code. Okay,
Yeah.
they could wear button-up shirts, and we were supposed to wear slacks. We were supposed to wear cargos. And
Yeah,
everything
but
else.
was there a rule about wearing
Presentable.
padded bras if you had big titties?
No,
I can tell you that if you were a
Specifically,
teacher and
probably
you
not.
didn't, you probably would have been asked to wear one or asked not to come
So-
back, as that was an inappropriate dress for your
the
work
interesting
environment.
thing that I think Andrew's trying to weigh us all down with here, in his argument, is that A, he very clearly likes big titties, regardless of if they're on a man or not.
Okay, well, I was with you up to the end of that sentence.
Nice one, Liz. Nice one.
Couldn't resist. But
I
okay,
have
so
regrets.
you should. So with this story specifically, which I find fascinating, is that A, the school did not have a dress code. So
The school did not have a dress code for staff.
right, they did for children, but not for staff. So what they were talking about is whether or not they can implement one without it directly, I guess, attacking the human rights of that person. So they consulted.
I'm sorry, this man
the
does not have
Ontario-
human rights. If you
Yeah,
are
no.
if you are dressing in a sexual manner around children,
That's not
I
how
couldn't
that
care a
works.
flying F about your
Yeah.
human rights.
But-
I know you couldn't, but that's not reality. But so the thing is, though, is that they consulted the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal, which I've dealt with before, and they are trash, right? Because they'll pick
Yeah.
up any piece
Because
of
they're people,
garbage.
and people are
They'll
trash.
pick up any piece of garbage and say, like, by the time a business is out of there, regardless of whether or not it's accurate, you have at least
spent
5
money.
to 10 grand sunk into it, even if you win, which you likely won't, because it's like a socialist movement of your feelings got hurt and your human
Well,
rights
it's not like an
equating to your
actual trial, right? There's no,
No.
I'm sorry, if this
factual
whole tribunal
anything.
thing needs to be tossed out on its
But
head
the problem
Yeah.
is you can't. Like, this is, believe it or not, this is like the Ontario
No, but this is a
Human
problem
Rights
because it's a tribunal.
I know.
It's
I
not
know.
a law. It's not some guy feels
Well,
in his made up mind.
They
There's
have their
no
own
basis in law or
lawyers that
anything.
they provide.
It
that they
is law
provide
though,
with
because
people, everything.
we've given them the authority
Yeah.
to make these decisions, of
Yeah.
which there is no factual
Mhm.
basis. It's basically the person that's listening listens to both sides
Yeah.
and then makes a decision, and whatever that decision is, it sticks for better or worse.
Yeah.
So if they just happen to like feel a certain way, even if
You're
you've done
screwed.
all the things right, you're
No,
you're
like-
definitely screwed. So I mean,
and this is a problem.
Oh yeah, Benny.
Who would
the
get rid of
system
this?
is so messed up.
yeah, well,
That
This isn't.
system
It's not a
is so
system. That's the
broke.
problem. It's not a
Well,
system. It's
it
what
is
some
a
guy
system.
It is a
feels because
terrible
of the
one.
brand of his breakfast he had this morning. Did he have enough brand? Did he not? Okay. Did you smile at him weird? Did you look at him weird? Did you
That's
not?
exactly some of
look
the
Did
sad
you
enough?
ogle the prosthetic nipples long enough?
yeah.
Andrew,
you
you're
hold the
really
process-
stuck on this dude's boobs.
I mean, it's hard not to be
That's-
focused on them
that's
because
not
they
a-
are
You know what? That's
comically
actually not
large.
true. I
That has nothing
look
to do with
at it
human
and I
rights.
was
That has
like,
to do with what the
that
guy
is
in
the
top of the
jankiest
bench felt
looking
that day.
wig ever.
Oh,
Like, that's what I think.
There's
I'm
nothing
like,
good about this.
this story
there's
is
nothing
much
good about
like
it.
the Jessica Yaniv story.
Yes,
in that the
Jessica
whole
Yaniv.
thing
This is the dumpster
it's a-
fire that just keeps on
Yeah,
giving.
it's a train wreck, and you can't look away because
Yeah.
you're like, I agree. Like,
Pedophile trying to get her.
this is one of those things where like
or
it's
his
so
pedophile in whatever.
obvious that this is inappropriate. That like
do you know what's
shouldn't
great though?
have to talk to anyone about this.
But
It's so.
Can we address the
have to.
clown world in the room though? The
But
clown
this
world is the best
problem, yeah.
part.
We live
This
in
is-
clown world.
So the superintendent of the school board and the director of education of the school board release a joint statement, and they close the joint statement. Finally, and most importantly, finally, and most importantly, we note that if the employer desires to foster a culture of professionalism, respect, equity, and inclusion, a truly reasonable and non-discriminatory dress code or grooming standards would most likely fail to yield the intended results.
I'm sorry, novelty sexual breasts,
Yeah,
boobs,
but
whatever,
so
fake.
you're
boobs
trying to apply
would not fall into-
logic to this.
Yeah, but
You're trying to apply
they're
logic.
admitting-
But
they're
in
admitting
order to
absolutely.
be professional, we can't tell these people to dress
Absolutely. And you know what it is? You
This
know what
is
it is?
like
It's the line equity
honk,
and inclusion.
honk.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's the
It's-
line equity and inclusion, because as soon as you put that in there, you
Yeah.
allow a severe sense or a severe element
Yes.
of relativism to be
Yeah.
deciding factor.
But
What
this-
is professionalism? What is respect? Because
Obviously
now
not wearing
is-
comically large
right,
breasts with
but-
giant nipples.
that's not
That
true
is-
though, because as soon as you add equity and inclusion, it is up to debate as to the person involved.
Yeah.
Equity means equal, so your thought is not being
No.
challenged.
Equity does not mean equal. Equality means equal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Equity means equal outcomes. This is
Yes.
a different thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the problem with this
Oh,
clown world we live in. and that
YouTube encourages
equality
us to
and
get out the
equity are
talking stick
definitely
again.
things that are-
I think we're doing pretty good.
Find
I
yourself a talking stick.
But yeah,
Mm.
this is just ridiculous. But it's them low key admitting that like we're in clown world.
I'm sorry. Does Benny has a shiv?
No,
It's a
Or would that
crochet
be
hook.
like a
That's
But
a
it could
crochet
double-
hook.
it could double as a brain sucking
Shiv?
device if necessary.
What
Man,
are
people have
you
a
doing?
lobotomy.
Like the Egyptians when they would pull
Yeah.
the air through the nose.
Yeah, but I
this is a
mean,
very
unfortunately,
regrets
they were
about this.
dead.
I have regrets about a lot of this.
Come on, you
About a lot of
Liz, don't
what?
tell me these people don't want to entomb their mortal body forever, so everyone else can come and see their glory.
Dude, isn't that like where
Are we
transhumanism
still
is
talking
going?
about like the weird
The giant
prosthetics
boobs,
again?
Yeah, you
I was
could
gonna
try a
say.
lot of people in those things. They're huge.
Just gonna say, we could talk about transhumanism and
Yeah.
the direction that's going if you want to talk about that, but
No,
Yeah.
I'm
But
good.
no, this whole thing is comical, and their response is even more ridiculous. Like,
so it's
In
scary,
order to be
Gavin.
inclusive, we can't do anything. We can't enforce
Right.
standards of
Yeah.
dress because
we can't even be professional because that's not inclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's better than that. You're missing like the better part. You can't tell that this person is not being a professional. That's this is the professional behavior in this school board. Dressing like
Yeah.
this makes you a professional
Yeah.
because the lack of willingness to enforce a grooming standard, which is an entirely reasonable thing to have in a professional environment or
Yeah.
any type of employment, really. Grooming standards are not an unreasonable thing to have.
Well, here's what I think is interesting is that they have pitted professionalism, respect, equity, and inclusion differently than reasonable and non-discriminatory. Like they're saying it cannot be mutually exclusive. Like it's the opposite. They're opposite
this
sides
is
of the
amazing. I
spectrum.
love this story. This is great.
Well, I just think that first of all, I actually think it's really sad because
No,
these are people
this is the state of Canada in 2022.
Yeah, it's brutal.
This is the people that are professionally employed by the government to
Yeah.
educate our children.
Yeah.
This is the state of Canada in 2022.
Yeah.
Andrew, your children.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
So you're also sending your child to a religious school?
I have no desire to enroll my children anywhere near any of this nonsense.
So who's homeschooling?
Yeah. Ain't nobody got
Yeah.
time.
You're gonna homeschool your child?
I would much prefer that to this nonsense.
That's fair. I mean, I was homeschooled and I'm only socially mildly retarded.
Yeah, it's fine. I went to a regular school. I went to 2 different schools and I turned out just socially awkward as everybody else. Now I complain about the government on the internet. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went to an
But-
all boys school, but I could talk to girls, sort of. Right, Liz?
The
Yeah.
interesting thing is that nobody on this panel wears prosthetic, comically large breasts.
No.
not that you know of.
Yeah,
I
at
was-
least not on
But you
the
know
show
what,
anytime
Andrew?
I've seen them
That's
in person,
fine,
yeah.
because that is done in private. No one else needs to see that.
Yeah. I do
All
think
right,
that like socially
Tune in next week when
there
I
should be
order
a
Benny a pair
standard.
of comically large prosthetics.
And Andrew wears his warm fuzzy sweater on.
That's
Just
right.
warn
I
me
would-
if they're going to come in the mail.
I'm
I
going to
do
get
not-
comfy and
I
Yeah.
will not be opening that around my children.
I mean that's
I mean, it's a really
that's fair.
interesting, it's a really interesting conversation starter about like
teach them, right?
cultural issues.
How is this a cultural issue? I don't believe there's a culture in North America that thinks it's appropriate to
No,
for a
that's
man
it.
to
Full
walk around
stop.
with-
I don't believe there's a culture in North America. You nailed it. That's it. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
I don't know
true.
if you go a little further south of the second border. I feel like they have a little bit of a culture there. No.
No, like
Mm.
maybe in like the south.
Yeah.
Oh no, I meant south of that border.
Oh, like Mexico.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mexico.
there's definitely a culture in Mexico.
Yeah.
So here's
I don't think
do
they
you
would
know
put
what
up
it
with
is?
this.
No.
But do you know what the difference is? And this is a conversation that actually speaks to what Chris was saying in the chats. He was saying you'll be getting 500,000 new immigrants a year, Gavin, to pick from for your employment issues, right?
Yeah.
So
But who's to say they're any
we
better?
have- Benny's on fire tonight.
Yeah.
I like agitated
I-
Benny.
Yeah.
I'm
Give
not-
him a cubit of rum and he gets all agitated.
I think I'm miscalculated, but whatever. I'm not saying that
You
it's
don't
that
say.
they won't be. I'm just saying if you
Mm.
haven't lucked out till now,
No, nothing
you're
wrong
gonna
with that,
find your
but-
lucky charm later.
The point is that I think that like some of those countries, people usually don't immigrate to, like, people are less likely to immigrate to Mexico than they are to the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So you have more of like a common standard, whereas here, there is not a common standard of anything. We are a
There is,
melting
but-
pot of socialism.
But we're not supposed to acknowledge it. We are supposed to have. There is supposed to be a Canadian culture.
Yeah,
The
it's
Canadian
not a
culture is
culture.
putting
But
prosthetic
between bending
breasts
over
on
backwards to
primary
the
school
French, where it all
teachers and-
started.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canadian
Sorry.
culture is beer drinking, plaid, hockey stick shoved somewhere, Canadian geese,
Okay, I'm
beavers, and
beginning to
that's
feel a
about it.
little bit attacked here.
Yeah.
We
Are you
used to be
shoving
known for
hockey
having
sticks somewhere?
bounties.
That's old stock Canadians, and that's not a thing that we're supposed to encourage anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
We're
yeah.
supposed to be fostering a spirit of inclusivity and
Equity and inclusion.
equity and giant fake titties.
Also, the word that I noticed they were missing in there in the whole spiel is diversity.
Diversity.
Well, he's a white
Yeah.
man, or he was a white man. Is he a white woman now?
So
White people kind.
in human resource language, they actually call it DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're like, oh yeah, they're a DEI hire or whatever, right? It's
That
like an
doesn't sound
acronym
good.
now. Yeah, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
No,
It's
I
like-
understand.
But it's
Understandably.
awful if you think about that. Yeah.
But someone
Pointing
being
that out
diversity
doesn't sound
higher.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
Noticing
very-
is racism.
Hey, thanks for
Yeah,
thanks for
but-
filling our
oh,
quota for us.
okay.
Can you just sit in the corner, please, while we get our work done?
Yeah.
you talk like that, like it's insane that people would actually talk like that in a company. That is how they talk.
Oh,
That
I
is
know.
how they talk.
and I think it's
It's-
stupid and
well,
counterproductive.
Well, yeah,
I know.
it is.
I did HR in school. I know
demeaning.
how crazy it is.
Yeah, well, I couldn't believe it when I was in the government. They kind of like had this check mark, and I was like, this person
Yeah,
functionally
it's not racist when they do
cannot-
it.
right. And you know,
It's the new racism.
my favorite
Yeah.
thing is when they do land acknowledgements. They could,
Stop gloating. We get it. You
but
conquered
no,
the natives.
my
Stop
thing was
pushing it in their
almost
face.
like,
Hey, if you go to that thing that a lot of the ones I've had to go and sit through lately, they like tell you about the native land website where you can go and see
Yeah.
what it is. There are holes on that map where no indigenous person laid claim to it. So I am going to move to one of those places and be like, no, this is mine. There was nobody that's laid claim to this previously.
yeah.
I don't have to put up with any of that.
You haven't found a
nonsense.
loophole, not having to
Yeah.
have to do land
You
acknowledgements.
know what's there? Do you know what's there? There's probably some like
Snow.
government black site there or like a resource pit, and they're like, no, we're taking this off all maps.
That's fine. I'll probably end up there at some point, but at least then I won't have to do land acknowledgements.
That's true. That's true. My thought always was when they get into that, like that whole thing, is I was like, so when are y'all gonna move off the land?
Right.
Like you're
Well,
talking about this. What
I
are
mean,
you gonna
those-
do about it?
They're
Well,
just
no,
gloating
you
at
missed
this
the point of liberalism. You missed the point. The entire point is to not do anything. The entire point is to make a soundbite so you feel better about it.
Yeah.
We're not going to fix the issue. We're not going to like provide natives on reserves in this country with clean drinking water like the liberal government promised to do in
Yeah.
is that
That would be too
2008
Has
and still
Trudeau
hasn't delivered
ever-
on.
What promises
I don't
has he
know.
delivered on?
None of the good ones.
Took some of my guns.
Well, he
I mean,
tried.
Did
He
he
hasn't actually,
or did
like-
he just make it illegal?
He hasn't
for you
actually
to
like
use
obtained them. He's just made it illegal for me to do anything. Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
He's
right.
gone halfway on that one.
them?
Seems like he's gone halfway on a lot of things. But hey, that's a great segue into the next story.
That was my next
Well-
question. How many Remembrance Day ceremonies has he actually attended ever? I feel like it's always
cares?
he's missed this one.
Legitimate
Point is-
question. Like, under what circumstances does anyone care if the prime minister is at the Remembrance Day ceremony? Which CTV
When-
News, Trudeau to
when
miss
your
National
whole-
Remembrance Day ceremony due to summit in Cambodia. Womp womp. I couldn't care less. Fuck this
Here's-
guy
nah.
and this whole country.
So here's
But
my
when your
thing.
entire position is only about based on image and what you
Yeah.
look like, If you're
Yes,
always
and that's why
missing
that is why he is traveling and going to all of these summits with world leaders, because they're going to the, I don't know, Asian National Conference, whatever thing
All I know
in
is that
Cambodia.
Canada is now a member of East Asia, African countries, or whatever it is.
Right. And then he's going to the Francophone Summit in Tunisia, which I didn't know Tunisia spoke French, but fine, whatever.
Really?
And
yeah, a whole bunch of North African countries speak French, to the point where their Arabic actually has a lot of like French.
hey, well, like whatever. I didn't know we were going to do that. I didn't know it was in Africa, but like I also don't care because he's going jet setting because that's what he does. And he's going to go to conferences with other world leaders to talk about some bullshit that I don't give a shit about because that's what he does. So like, fuck him. And not going to Remembrance Day. I don't care that he wasn't there. It doesn't impact me in any meaningful way. I would actually prefer that he's not present. His absence makes the whole thing better for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Guy.
So
You're not wrong.
I don't disagree. However, I think it's just like, I think it just puts I think it's just the cherry on top that continually reminds people what a disrespectful
it reminds people that listen to this show. It reminds people like you, Liz.
Yeah.
The average Canadian doesn't understand what Remembrance Day. The average Canadian is the person that walks up to Gavin while he's doing road closures in Toronto because they're having a ceremony at the cenotaph, and they ask Gavin why the road's closed because they're a fucking idiot and they don't know what November 11th is.
That's true. I don't know.
Fuck
We
this
had
guy.
a very like
They
also think masks do something for COVID, which has been
it protects pregnant Ukrainian men from getting COVID.
Yeah,
or something like that.
It was really sad though, the number of people that didn't realize that it was Remembrance Day when I was doing road closures.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what the truly upsetting thing about that is?
what?
Yeah.
If that many people didn't know about Remembrance Day, even fewer people know that it was the anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Independence of Rhodesia.
True. That's true.
Nah, no one in here. Hey, people say New Yorkers are bad, but North Americans in general, anything not on the continent, no clue.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't care that this. I know I'm going to say like right wing internet part of Canada was mad about Trudeau not being at Remembrance Day, and
Sure.
Why? He doesn't care about Canadians. He doesn't care about the Canadian military. This government sucks. This is like the dark days of the military under correction again. Like, who cares?
Yeah, but it's just
I agree with Andrew in terms of the right wing not caring. Sorry, let's continue.
No, I just feel like it's just a sting. That's all. Like it's just that reminder.
Yeah. It shouldn't surprise anybody.
It doesn't.
No, but it doesn't
surprise. It doesn't surprise me. I don't care. He doesn't. It's his nothing he's done until now has shown that he cares anything about the armed forces or the sacrifice put on by those before us. But him being the creature that he is, where he has to show whatever, you'd think that he put a little bit of effort into like bowing a knee to those.
But again,
at least to the
it has to do with the victim hierarchy
Canadians.
scale, though. Like if there was nothing else going on that weekend, whatever, he would have been there. But the fact that like something in some other part of the world,
any excuse, he's not there.
I was going to say,
I don't think he's ever been.
He would have found something. He would have found something to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Inherently, you're right, Andrew. It doesn't matter. Like the people that don't show up to those things, you kind of don't want them there anyway.
Right. Because I'm going to do the same thing I do every year.
Absolutely.
After the cenotaph is like done for the evening and there's still poppies, I'm going to go drink a 6-pack by myself, like I do, to do my thing. Because the rest of these people shouldn't be involved in this. The politicians have no business grandstanding over dead bodies. In general, politicians should not be dancing on graves. But in particular, politicians should not be dancing in front of cenotaphs. That might be a show title.
Okay.
I've never been to a cenotaph. What exactly happens? Is it just a bunch of speeches?
Moment
of silence?
We now get to sing God Save the King. That's great.
What do they do? Change it from Queen to King?
It's literally the same tune.
It's the same thing. It just depends on who your reigning monarch is, essentially.
Yeah.
So which is fine. There's usually a speech that's given. They sing the national anthem. They sing God Save the King. Somebody recites some poems.
Like generally your local legion is the one that
the legion
puts on
marches.
the event.
Well, because
so for
Legion
the-
Command National does the whole thing for the country, and then every local legion is usually responsible for their local cenotaph. Usually, not always, but like
and they're
National
usually
Command takes
located
care of the whole thing.
close
And
by, but not always. But I mean, for Streetsville, where I was, what happens is there's a parade, and so they leave the Legion Hall and they get like bagpiped in down the street to the cenotaph, and then everyone stands around the cenotaph, and like, well, so starting the day previous, the cadets are there with an honor guard.
Okay, so they're there for like a full day.
Yes.
Awesome.
Overnight. Wow.
24 hours. Basically.
Ours are
great.
just there for like the hour.
For Streetsville, they have them there.
Where you are and what's going on. In some places it's active duty military, and some places it's just cadets. And
so we start like the evening before, whatever, and they're there and they do their thing, and every hour they rotate through and everything, and are standing, and like even when you're setting up for the stuff, they're still there and they're still doing, their rotation of the guard, and like you don't get in their way because they just keep walking.
Well, it's military parade still, right? Like that's
exactly
official.
right. And then so the big parade comes in and everyone paws into the area around the cenotaph. A bunch of people usually get up and do speeches. There's a prayer. They read Flanders Fields. For us, the mayor will get up and do a speech of some kind. Wreaths are laid in front of the cenotaph, and then the bagpipes play again, and everyone marches out back up the other road, back up to the Legion, and then it goes has a pint, and then everyone kind of puts their poppies in the cenotaph. Is how at least the ones that I've been to kind of go. Everyone's
very similar,
slightly different, but more or less the same.
How much do you guys love the well-adjusted new Canadian anthem? It's been out for a couple of years, but
no, hard pass.
Honestly, I couldn't tell between the two.
Oh, they don't say in all our sons command anywhere. In all our
but when they can't stop me from singing it that way, because
I sing it like we're loud people, so we sing it really loud. You know how everybody just kind of is like really quiet, not the faucets.
No.
We all belt it. We're like, you don't go changing this shit.
No.
I do that too sometimes in synagogue with the way that I'm supposed to word things. We're not supposed to. You're supposed to like follow the rules of the place you're in, but sometimes I forget.
I just forget. No, I just have no patience for that garbage. But it's kind of too bad, like, because my grandpa and my uncle were like veterans, so it was a really big part of like us growing up, and we were able to be really proud of that. And it's getting harder and harder to resonate with that kind of stuff these days. So
support the country you live in versus the country they did.
Well, but
that's
that's
not
also
the country they sacrificed for. They would not recognize this place.
So that's also partly why there are certain traditions that are upheld at these ceremonies, like the flying of a Union Jack.
It's true.
God save the Queen and or King, depending
it's like
on who's currently
Armistice Day, right? Like it's
yeah.
That's the only place I think actually that they still sing God Save the King or Queen. I don't hear it any
outside
other time.
of military events. This is probably the only public space you would hear it.
Technically, I would think this is a military event. It's Veterans Day.
Yes, but no.
Sort of,
So if you are at a Canadian Forces facility and they are having a particularly formal parade, you may hear them singing "God Save the King." It's not a terribly uncommon event, but in public places, likely the only place that you're going to hear "God Save the King" is on Remembrance Day parades. That's not because of the presence of the military. That's because of the historical nature of the event.
Okay.
Also, if your kids don't know the words, you ought to teach them. It's really not long. We always do the abridged version here.
Guess I should look it up.
They used to do it in school.
Yes, and they used to do the Lord's Prayer in public school up until I think 1976.
I don't know.
Maybe
until the 70s.
I don't know. I seem to recall at some point doing it in school.
Yeah.
Well, you're old though, so
Yeah, but I mean, not that old. Would have been in the 80s. It would have been like really early on in my first couple, although it could have just been that I had like a crazy religious teacher, even though it was a public school, and they were just like, we're doing this anyways.
I think it depended on the school board, but like it was pretty. I think it was still like I was young when they started switching that out, but they were still doing it when I was like in grade 3, I think.
I think I had a teacher in grade 4 that played the national anthem. Other than that, nope. Thinking I was in a religious school, so I didn't even learn French.
From what
And
I
just
hear,
skip
they
all that.
play a very new version that is much more inclusive.
So trash.
Although
Trash.
when I was in school, I did enjoy the version that the Nylons did when they would play that every now and again.
I don't know what that version is.
it's a cappella.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was good.
It means without accompaniment, no
I
instruments.
know what it means.
I know what a cappella means.
Well, but maybe somebody in the audience doesn't, and I get to exercise my vocabulary.
It was a nice little
Look at
treat every
you.
now and again because they would switch it up because they had a couple different versions.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
what I hear, it's
what-
the same one all the time now, but it's the super inclusive one.
Ugh, I hate it.
One more to round out the show.
Sure.
Why not?
CTV News. Majority of Canadians support return to face masks in indoor public spaces if deemed necessary. Survey.
Oh,
Yeah. What's deemed
This
necessary?
is my response to this.
Well,
I say we
there's
do
lots
a
of
new
ways that you
poll.
could
And
read this.
this.
Well, there's lots of ways you could read this. Like for starters, you could read that they polled 1,000 people and they said this is the average for Canadians. To be fair, it is nanos, and the margin of error is not bad. Accurate within 3 percentage points, plus or minus 19 times out of 20.
when and where
Nanos
did they
has a
poll
pretty good
these
track
random
record.
people?
Well, so this is a 1,000-person survey. I don't know that makes it particularly representative of the country, but like, okay, I'm willing to believe that. But also, let's creatively interpret the results in a different way. You could have said that 1/3 of Canadians do not support or oppose the return of face masks, but they didn't frame it in that way.
No.
Yeah.
You could also frame it in that, like, the majority of Canadians are just dumb, but they didn't choose to frame it that way either.
I was going to poll the panelists, but when you see someone walking down the street with a mask, what are the first thoughts that go through your head?
God,
Your
I hope they don't
chicken
have
shit.
kids.
So my first thought is, oh, that person's probably a hypochondriac. And then I'm like, well, I should give them the benefit of the doubt and think maybe they have a severe disease. But then I naturally flip back and say, no, they're probably just a hypochondriac or believe the nonsense they've been fed for the past 3 years.
So
I'm
that's the
not
same
gonna
thing.
lie, when I see people wearing masks and behaving in that way, I actually I really struggle because it kind of takes me back. I'm not even gonna pretend or joke around using PTSD, but like to use liberal terms, I'm slightly triggered.
Slightly?
It really does hit me as like, oh shit, are we there again? Because like a lot of stuff went down when masks were being mandated and when, you know, all these mandates were in and stuff like that. And I'm never gonna be able to go back to normal, you know, and they're like, oh, let's move on. This whole amnesty bullshit.
Nope.
They're like,
No,
let's
I meant
move
every
on.
word of it.
Yeah.
I go for the rooftops.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is that I'm like, we can't
Masks,
move
I
on
mean.
if people are still
use it again.
believing that wearing masks is going to do anything for you.
So
Like-
Well, maybe there are cases where masks will do something for them, but also I'm not willing to give these people the time of day if I encounter them in public because I'm not going to treat them like people because my assumption is they don't act like people.
But okay, so here's the thing. I kind of feel bad for people that wear masks because I'm kind of with you, Benny.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of assume that they've maybe been fed this line. I don't know if that's really what you said, but you're giving people a benefit of the doubt.
Trying to
Right.
give them benefit.
Yeah,
Failing
right?
miserably, but trying.
Right.
Well, Benny's
so,
a better Christian than I am.
I'm not a Christian. Don't label me like that. What's going on here? My brand is like staunch Orthodox Jew here. Like Let
It's
nobody
okay.
mistake it.
He got the rise he was hoping for out of you. So good job.
Rum's
But
gone.
no, I mean, I'm trying to be polite these days and trying to be a little bit nicer in recognizing that some people just fell for believing that was a safety measure that was going to do something. So now I personally think that it's a psychologically safe thing that people do, because it's not medically doing anything for people. So it's only a psychological aid.
Right, which is why I'm not willing to give these people the time of the day, because they
Right.
clearly are not connected to the same reality that I live in.
Mhm.
I like how they've issued the latest, not a mandate, but the thing
Stern
telling you all,
warning.
the thing telling you all that, like, if you choose to do so, you can wear one. And it's like, yeah, but it's always been optional. Like, I guess other
Yeah.
than when it was mandatory that we had to, it was always optional that you could wear
Even-
one if you wanted.
even then.
But
Even
even
when
then,
it was mandatory, I just
Yeah.
didn't.
yeah. But like,
Right.
you don't need to tell
You-
people things that they could just optionally do. Like they could just always do that. Like even before the pandemic, you
But-
could have just worn a mask whenever you wanted to for any reason.
Yeah, but
But
then I'd
if-
wonder why I woke up in South Korea.
Gavin.
Yeah, that like
You-
I would just whenever you see someone wearing a mask, but pre-2019, it would be like, oh, it's just an Asian person. He probably has a cold. He doesn't want to cough on someone.
Yeah.
Whatever. Have a great day. Thank you for being considerate. Now it's
Yeah.
like, nah, that guy's probably an idiot who believes everything he reads on the internet.
And that's the problem, is that you're assuming that people can function in their own thought process. People
No, I'm
are
not.
now.
I'm the opposite of that.
Yeah,
No, but like, not you, Andrew. You're barely saying anything. You're just like judging loudly every once in a while.
Yes, this is what I do.
It's true. No, but Gavin, what you were saying is like, and my brain kind of just trickled out my ears there, but you were talking about how people wearing masks, what was it? I don't even remember anymore, but essentially what I got out of it is that people need to be told now
Yes.
what to do.
Oh,
People
yeah,
are so
absolutely.
entrenched in this, like, oh yeah, like people had a choice, but they don't know that they have a choice, and they're not willing to do things on their own anymore.
Well,
That
no,
if nothing
and
else, the
it's-
government
most of
has
them
like
were like
just
that before, though.
totally, but
Well,
I
it's-
think
it's
it's
not enough that, like,
exasperated it.
they do
Oh, I
that,
agree with
it's
that.
just-
It's made it
yeah.
worse, but this is the
Yeah.
North American condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
No,
that's the
it's sad
divide.
state.
Well, and that's the divide. They're like, oh yeah, there's division in our society. Yeah, there's this group of people that stayed the same, did not change, stood resolute. And then there's this other group of people that had this false sense of freedom that they thought they had, but yet are the first ones to follow some fucking bird off a cliff. Right? Like, they need to be told what to do. They need to follow a leader. Like, I haven't changed. Not true. I'm probably more bitter.
Yeah, I can see that. I am. I know I am. I just don't have patience for anybody's nonsense anymore. I'm completely out of, which is I'm very happy that there are people out there wearing masks, because I know I don't have to interact with them like regular people, because they're not regular people. I can just completely disregard their existence, and I will be in no worse shape for it, because the worst thing they're going to do is use strong language and yell at me because they don't like the way I looked or said or did or something. And their opinion doesn't matter, because they have precisely zero power over the world around them.
Their opinion is moo. I love Joey.
But it is like, what is it? Oh, you're going down
Friends
the wrong.
reference,
You're
Andrew.
going down the aisle the wrong way in the grocery store. Oh, cool.
That's not how
Have a
COVID
nice
works.
day.
Yeah.
Like, I
That
don't
hasn't-
care.
That hasn't been a thing since
Yeah, but
But
think
that's
about
what I
that.
mean. Like,
That
that's
is
what
the
they're
They
gonna
still
do.
dumbest
haven't. They
thing.
haven't taken the arrows off of the floor.
Right.
But
And that's
still
why
the
I can just
dumbest thing.
safely disregard that person, because that person is in
Well.
no way a threat to anyone
Mhm.
around them, because they are not capable of exerting their will on the world that they're interacting with.
To this day,
They
that was
they
probably
are literally non-player characters in this game.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
they're just walking around doing their little routine that they're supposed to do as NPCs, and like occasionally if you interact with them, there's a little like
Yeah.
conversation tree maybe, but it's the same like 4 options every time, so it really doesn't fucking
Yeah.
matter. They
And when
don't
they
have
go, it's
free
dangerous
will.
to go alone. Take one of these. They hand you a mask, and you're like, "What the fuck am I going to do with this?"
Use it as a very promiscuous bikini.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a bigger mask.
Especially if you live in Oakville.
Oh gosh, you're too quick on those ones, Andrew. Like, when you respond that quickly, one of the first things that goes to my mind is like, has he thought of this before? Has this gone through his head?
Every night for 30 minutes in the mirror before bedtime.
Yeah. So it's positive affirmations.
Face mask as a Speedo. Face mask as a Speedo.
Wouldn't work.
Not well. Yeah.
Goodness.
That is a very uncomfortable
Oh,
picture.
Well, then stop picturing it.
Not as uncomfortable as wearing a face mask.
Start reciting the Torah, Benny. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Now do the next line.
My gosh. You guys
Yeah,
are
no,
ridiculous.
Well,
These people are stupid. And if that many people
They
think
are.
that this is like a good thing that the government is telling you how to live your life, these are not people I want to associate with.
Right,
If you
but
want to wear one, wear one.
they are wearing obvious identifiers and nobody even
Yeah.
made them get armbands. It's
Yeah.
really convenient for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually kind of funny because I was out walking with a friend of mine who, she's that person that she follows all that stuff, but she will have conversations, after our walk. She texted me, she's like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about the inquiry. I just want to hear, or like the Emergencies Act, I'm interested in your opinion. But she's the person that obviously swallows like CBC and CTV really hard. And so
I wasn't married.
Yeah, right. We're walking around and she's like, oh yeah, I'm going on we had planned to go out for dinner and then she kind of canceled and she's like, we'll go for a walk instead. And she's like, yeah, I planned a trip for Mexico and I'm leaving in 3 weeks. And she's like, I just don't want to get anything before I go. So that's why we're not going out for dinner.
But they're
It's
okay
3
to go to
weeks?
Mexico.
Because
How's she
I
gonna get to
know.
Mexico?
What's that?
How's she going to get to Mexico?
On a flight?
Does she not realize that that's recirculated air from like the other 200 people?
Oh
on the
gosh,
bus?
dude.
It's like it's a sealed fart tube flying through the air. Like,
Yeah,
if you're
but
gonna get sick,
That
it's
nobody's
going through the
got
airport
COVID
or
on.
the airplane.
I will say
Like,
as well, though, that this is somebody who like was scared to go for a walk with me because I was unvaccinated. A walk outside.
Well, again, you're a better Christian than I am because I just wouldn't be participating.
yeah, and it's not the walking part that's the problem, because we do a lot of walking. If you haven't listened to
Yeah.
the show in previous episodes,
It's just interesting because like I think personally I just think that reflects her opinion or her stance on it is very I think it's pretty common.
Unfortunately,
So.
yes.
Yeah,
So yeah.
good enough. Let's remind everybody, last Monday of the month is going to be book club. This month, for November, we're doing A Soldier First by Rick Hillier. He was a general, kind of a big deal. You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
We're also on Gilded. If you want to come and hang out there, you can send me your contempt and I can ignore it that way instead of via email.
or both, and then you could get double contempt.
I can ignore you twice as hard for the same price.
Yeah.
We'll go around and find where everybody can find everybody. We'll start with Liz. Liz, if people can't get enough of you, where can they find more?
That just sounded weird, but well, I'm actually going to be probably taking a hiatus from social media. So here's the deal. You're going to have to watch the podcast and maybe comment in the, make a comment in the comments. That sounds weird too. Or email the podcast and Andrew will forward it to me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah. If you buy a t-shirt, Andrew will forward it to me.
Okay, I get behind that.
Right?
The t-shirt or the comment?
Buy a t-shirt. I have a surplus of t-shirts. Buy a t-shirt.
Buy a t-shirt and Andrew will up his customer service game.
Yeah.
That's not true. The way that I run my business is not the way that I run my podcast. Shirts are shipped promptly with a little love letter.
Even podcast shirts.
Damn, you just remind me,
Even
Andrew, those
podcasts.
shipping prices have gone up.
Yes,
Yeah.
Canada Post has increased their rates.
Everything.
Yeah, but
has gone up.
Shopify hasn't caught up. WTF?
It will. Don't worry. It will.
I've had 2 parcels go out already, and both of them were mispriced.
Yeah. That's
We're
not
gonna have to do
shocking.
some fixing on this.
Well, Benny,
Pick-
while you're
pick up
fixing
orders
that, where
only.
can everybody find you if you want to get something shipped?
If you want to get stuff shipped and pay less shipping, thepackcanada.ca. Order now, because who knows when the prices are going to go up.
Soon.
It's probably going to be soon. It's
End of the
probably gonna be
quarter.
soon.
It's going up. Canada Post put the announcement out already. Price increases are coming again.
Yeah.
Gavin, where can everybody find you?
The best place to find me currently is on the Instagrams, UrbexGTA, or coming up soon, our friend Boris is running another covert entry class. So if you want to come learn fun lockpicking stuff, it's a little pricey, but it's a weekend long and you get tools. I'll be there, but hit them up for the details.
Right on. If you've listened to the show this long, you deserve a discount code. If you're shopping at Ragnarok Tactical, use a discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some money. And that shipping increase is coming. I think we're going to go up to a $15 flat rate from the $10 we're at right now, because the accountant says we're losing a lot of money.
It's not good.
It's not good, but I'm going to try to ride it out to the end of the year because I don't want to change the shipping prices.
Like
That's-
1,000 times.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work for me, and I'm pretty lazy.
They're probably going to get up there though for Christmas. They're probably going to do another hike before Christmas.
We'll see how long I can put it off for. I feel like I've mentioned it, but it's in the show notes. We value your opinion, sort of. If you want to send me feedback, the best place to do that is emailing feedback@canadianpatriotpodcast.com. Let us know what you think. And I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka.
Whatever Andrew says, we do value your opinion because it gives us plenty of things to talk about on the podcast.
I like
So
getting.
please give us all your
emails.
zany mainstream.
I have made
mass
real
media
life friendships with
production
people that have
opinions.
emailed the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have done like meet space things with people that I have met because I complain about the government on the internet. And not all of them are government agents, only most of them. That feeling when your internet friends roll up to the gun range and they all have matching Suburbans and you don't.
Yeah. Feel a little left out.
You didn't get on that government surplus. What's it called? Site. That's all.
I have to apologize to Rod. We couldn't get Rod Giltak on the show this week. Scheduling conflict, East Coast time. The clocks changed recently. We are out of sync. We will get back in sync with Rod next week. We'll get him on the show. And for all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable